Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. And we are meeting once again with lecture 21 of Business English. Alright, so students, what we are going today? Today's lecture is going to be another part of the series based on report writing, where we are going to discuss another important aspect of research process, that is proposal writing. In the previous two lectures, I discussed this idea with you that it's a kind of, process that has three important aspects: process, proposal, and end product, that is report. Although we write proposal in the beginning before we start with the research process, but research process starts from the very point when we think of the research problem and we start brainstorming about how will we go about it. However, if we talk about the field study and collection of secondary and primary data, that is the practical process that we do after composing our research proposal. However, both of these things, most of the time, they go simultaneously hand in hand. Alright, when we have proposal writing as on agenda today, we are going to inshallah discuss the requirements for proposal writing, what are the contents, the format, anatomy, a strategy that we need to be good at to write an effective proposal, and certainly several types of proposal that are there being used in the market. So let's starting with how to prepare a research proposal, business proposal. Well, a proposal provides sufficient information to persuade the reviewer or the reader that the proposed work represents an innovative and profitable approach to an important program. This can be business program, engineering program, academic. This can be of any discipline. This can be of academic in nature. This can be of professional in nature. So basically, a proposal is a kind of persuasive plan that we present in order to win a will of the reader. Now, this can be solicited, this can be unsolicited. I am using this term again, and we've already discussed this term, that solicited is when you are asked for, and unsolicited is when you do something with your own will, following your own desire and intention. So if it's a solicited proposal and we have been asked to design a proposal, we need to make it in a way, write it in a way that it is able to convince our readers who is in some authoritative position to give us permission for something. So it basically has a complete plan inside. The proposal will evaluate on the technical approach having a reasonable chance of meeting the topic objective, the approach being innovative and not routine at all, and the proposer's capability to implement the technical approach, that is, has or can obtain people and equipment suitable for the task. So a proposal will talk about these three major things: technical approach, and reasonable chance of meeting the topic objectives. Your objectives are very clear, and you clearly state how are you going to achieve your objectives. Then the approach being innovative. If there are 10 proposals and I am being reader and somebody who holds authority and position needs to pick up one proposal out of 10, I will definitely go for something that is creative, that is innovative, and that has clear objectives and has a clear plan how these objectives can be achieved. Then the proposer's capability to implement the technical approach. It's not that you are being bookish and you are being very theoretical or rather over theoretical. You know what are theories and how are you going to implement those theories to generate your own theory or achieve your goal. Alright, now what are the table of contents in a proposal? A proposal's anatomy or the format that it follows. It has a cover page, it has an abstract, it has technical content such as identification and significance of problem, technical background, technical objectives, work plan, that involves statement of work, timeline and deliverables, and related works, references. All right. Now, commercialization strategy is also, a part of the content, and you may have key, need to name key personnel or the team members who are taking part in it. You may need to talk about the facility and equipment you want to use, or you will be needing to meet your objectives, and the cost, the budget guideline for the proposal, if there is any. Then the proposal has a format. Its cover sheet, like proposal cover sheet, has a proper format. You have a title of the project, you have date proposed, you have labeled it as a proposal, and you submit to, you need to write the name of the person who you are going to submit it to, the address, phone, email, fax, whatsoever are the contact details. Then who it is submitted by, you can write your name or your, the name of the group or all individuals the way it is expected. Again, these things directly relate to the factor that whether it's a solicited task or an unsolicited task. Normally, usually in solicited tasks, you are given a guideline, you are given a design, a template, or you're discussed, you already have knowledge about the standards you have to meet. So if there is a set standard, you need to follow that set template, go ahead with that. That makes your job very easy. However, if you don't have a template to follow, then you will follow the standard templates available out there. Abstract is one very important thing, and often students get confused about abstract and summary, and they consider both of them one or the same thing. Well, yes, abstract is a kind of summary, but it's different, because a summary needs to be a compact thing that has everything inside. It gives you a complete understanding of what you have gone through, and in a way you summarize each section and create a miniature of each section into a paragraph, or maybe less than that. So if you have 5 sections in your proposals, so a summary may have 5 paragraphs in total, and each paragraph will completely bring the essence out of each section. So in the end, if it's a 1-page summary with 5 paragraphs, this will talk about from zero to, from scratch to the end about your proposal. So it gives the executive summary of a proposal, gives a detail, all the details, definitely not the illustrations, and it does not go into the details of actions. However, it talks about all the important things and that are taking place in the proposal. However, abstract is different. Abstract gives an idea of the proposal project, discuss anticipated benefits, potential for commercial applications, and profit. The abstract is often the first cut in selecting proposals for funding. Abstract basically is a kind of catcher. It's a kind of wrapper that has to have that glitter and that charm and that attraction to catch the audience. So often it does not talk about everything, and you have to be very selective to pick up those things that may catch the attention of the reader. Because if I'm a company and I have called for proposals, and there I have 50 proposals on my desk, I may not have enough time to go through even the abstract of 50 proposals, so I'll quickly open them up, or maybe if I have 100 proposals or maybe 200 proposals, and I need to have a team of reviewers, and I give them a criteria. These are the words that I'm looking for, or maybe these are the ideas that I'm looking for, and I give a set of list, and I give a set of terms and a list of terms, and I tell them, okay, you go for these terms. If they are there present in the abstract, then you can open up the abstract and read the abstract. If you find it, then you can shortlist it for my reading. So you imagine if there are 200 proposals, the reviewer may select 50 out of them for my consideration. if I am the authority to take decision. So the 150 that are gone, they might have not involved those words, those terms, those ideas and concepts which are expected by the company or by the callers of the proposals. So 150 have already gone. Now look at the 50. Now I being the position decision maker, I may not have enough time to go through all 50 proposals. So I'll look up each proposal and I have some criteria in my head. I know what am I going to read to, and I definitely might have made it very clear when I would have sent the call for proposal. So I'll quickly skim through all the abstracts, and I will find, okay, this is what it gives, and it matches with what I expect. So I may pick 10 out of 50 for my detailed reading of the abstract. And again, I look at the abstract, and then I may look at the contents and see if proposal is providing what I demand. So a proposal has to be a true catcher of the whole situation, because if you convince reader to read your abstract, there are chances that he or she will read more. If by reading the abstract, looking at the abstract, your reader is put off, then there is no chance that he or she will like to read on your proposal. All right. Now some more information about format is about layout and the format of your document. Well, usually the standard format follows one margin all around the proposal. However, at times the left side of the proposal goes for 1.25 inches, because this side is usually it goes into binding. So we keep 25.25% margin for the binding. So when we open a proposal, it does not hinder our reading of the text, and text does not go inside. So usually it is 1 inch on all sides. However, at times the left hand side margin is 1.25. However, again, it's the standard set by your company. If they have 2 inches margin or they have 1 inch margins, go with that. Now, title in header right, sometimes you have specifications that where you have to give your title. Page number in footer center, you have a header, you have a footer. At times people prefer having title in the header on the right side and your page numbers in the footer and the center. So however, these all are there are variety of ways of playing around your formats, but still I would repeat the same thing. If there is a standard announced, go and follow that standard, because this might be a reason for your proposal to get accepted or get rejected. Then date in footer right, and use Arial 10 PT or times 12 point. Well, you have always have a the usual standard official font types are Arial or Times New Roman, and the sizes fluctuate between 11 point to 12, and it depends on the spacing. When it is 12, the spacing will be 11, it's 1.5 or maybe 1, or when it is 10, the spacing may be different. So if you have standards, follow them. If you don't have, then try to go for the national standards or the market standards, or follow the international standards. However, be particular and be consistent. Do not make your official document, technical document, a hodgepodge of your creativity, because then you may distract the reader and he or she may not be able to concentrate on what that is required. All right. Now, number all pages consecutively. Do not break down in between. Do not try to bring in changes, unnecessary changes, and try to number your documents consecutively. The technical proposal begins on page 2 or 3. You do not really number your title cover page and the content page. You start from the page, or maybe if there are acknowledgements, you skip the acknowledgement by for numbering as well. You start from the very first page where the information starts, and usually it's the first page of the document that provides the information, or the background of the summary. The very first page of the text from this point you start your numbering. And for the pages before than this, there might be 2 pages or 3 pages, or in case there can be 4 pages, you try Roman numbers, or you try some other kind of identification for sequence. This can be any, or this can be none at all. That depends. Moving on, submit soft copy in MS Word or Adobe. Now this is very important. You see, there are certain factors involved. Previously it would have not been the same thing, that we need to have a soft copy with a hard copy, but nowadays people prefer a soft copy because most of the time people do not have enough time to go through hard copies. They do not like carrying hard material because it has weight. So what they do is that although they take hard copy as a record, but they try to take soft copy as well. You can submit it through an email, you can submit it by a CD or by a flash drive, or the way the one who you are going to submit it to would ask for. So what these people do, they try to keep this in the laptop, in the tablets, in their mobile phones, and because of these gadgets, the reading and going through these documents have been quite easy and time saving, and it has reduced the hassle of carrying a lot of weight around. So people when they are driving, when they are when they are traveling, when they are outside their home, they can open up whenever they have time, they can open up their gadget and they can go through their work. So they prefer a soft copy. Secondly, well, the concept of plagiarism. Well, this may not be a direct a concern in professional domain. However, in academic domain, plagiarism is an ethical issue that has been that in Pakistan is quite hard these days, and students tend to copy things and they forget referring to the one this knowledge belongs to. So they commit this ethical crime of taking something from somebody who really something that belongs to someone else. If I present it as my own, it's an ethical crime. So nowadays, many of the students, because of maybe their unawareness or their carelessness, they get indulged in such activity. So in order to avoid such dishonesty, and in order to avoid such problems, academic submissions go through different softwares. There are many softwares available in the market that are very helpful in scrutinizing whether this work has been plagiarized, copied, or it's a genuine work. All the institutions, universities especially, and they are provided this software and a set of softwares by Higher Education Commission in Pakistan, and these softwares are free for their use, for accommodations for educationists, for teachers, for professors, and they can have access to their accounts where they can use these softwares to scrutinize the originality of the work. However, this can be a concern for your professional domain too, and your boss or the caller of proposal would like to get your work through a scrutiny procedure, and they would like to check it for plagiarism too. So always soft copy is a help in both ways, whether you are using it to check the originality or you're using it to reduce your hassle and the weight you are carrying. So this is one thing that is need of the time. So that means you need to be very good with computers if you are in business. If you are in writing, you need to really know how can we play with the different features available with in this machine, and how can we be good at utilizing these features to enhance the effect of our work. Well, now let's have a word about the technical content in our proposal. Well, identification and significance or problem or opportunity is one technical section of proposal. You need to know how do you identify the problem, how are you making your readers to identify it, and then what is the significance of this problem or opportunity that you want to avail. what scope it has, what benefit it will have for the company or for the community out there. Well, in order to convince your reader, you need to define the specific technical problem or the problem that you are addressing in your proposal, a research proposal, or your plan that you want to execute, or the opportunity addressed and its importance and the scope or the benefits that you are offering to the company, to the customer, to the government, or anybody anybody you are addressing it to or doing it for. You need to know your audience. You need to be very clear about your audience, because unless you know your audience, you will not be able, you will be not in a position to defend your case, that how will your audience be benefited from your work. Do not include the solution in the problem statement. Well, some people become over ambitious and they try to stating their problem, just after that they would like to offer a solution. Well, if it is that easy, you may not be needed. Your work and your efforts may not be needed. So it's a process of getting to the solution, and that is what we are hiring you for if we are hiring you. So do not include the solution right in the beginning when you are stating your problem. Wait a second. Go on, move on, go through a procedure, and then you might have this in your head, but this is not the right place, right time to state it on the paper. All right, so moving on with our discussion on the proposal as our subject matter today, we need to talk about the background of the problem. Although it is optional, and sometimes when you are discussing the problem, you are involving the background situation as well. However, if you put it up as a separate section, there is no harm in it. But again, it depends on what format you are following, what template you are following. If your template is limited and it does not allow you to have a separate section, that is one thing. However, if you have space and if you have liberty, you can make your own decision that will support your objectives. So in order to do that, provide a short technical primer if you think the readers require such. And technical objectives are there. You need to really talk about the objectives that you want to achieve. You should be very clear about your objectives, because unless your goal is set, you cannot show that how you're going to achieve it. So setting your goal is very important. So for that, list your objectives to solve the problem. Problem has been identified, objectives have been identified. Now distinguish between your goals, objectives, and tasks. Well, these are three terms that need your understanding. Tasks are the actions that you want to do in order to achieve your objectives, and all the objectives will result in, if you are able to meet your objectives, you are basically reaching your goal. So these are three different things that you need three different sections to talk about. Now include questions the work will try to answer. Now your research questions are very important to state in the methodology section. What are the research questions that you are answering? So all the problems or the aspects of the one problem that you are addressing, try to convert the phrase or the words into a question format. And a good proposal deals with 1 to 2 or 3 maximum questions at a time, and all these 3 questions basically relate to one problem, and these might be 3 different angles of looking at the same thing. So whatsoever is that, state your questions clearly, and always keep in mind that these are not close-ended questions, these are open-ended questions. And these questions are very technical in nature because they include your variable, and these are the measurable. These are the variables that are measurable. So always be very careful when you are composing research questions for your proposal. All right. Now there is need of designing your work plan. What is your work plan? Work plan is a schedule basically, and this is a substantial portion of the total proposal. Your the one who you are submitting your proposal to needs to know how long will you take in order to materialize your idea, and you need to give a short overview of what is planned and work approach, and provide an explicit step-by-step description of the approach. How will you go about it? And this gives a very clear idea to the reader that you are mentally prepared and you have had your homework and you know what is to be done, how it will be done, and what are the problems you may come across. And again, for those predictive problems, you have some backup on your end. And this explicit step-by-step approach describes your statement of work, your SOV, and then provide hierarchical detailed list of the tasks, the actions that you want to do. It also provides the timeline. The timeline can never be religious. You don't need to tell the dates if you don't want to. However, giving a broad timeline is always good because it enables your reader to understand that how long this project will take in its completion. So show estimated start and stop times for tasks, and only show the first and second levels of task. Don't go into the detail that is unnecessary. And numbering follows the statement of work. All right, now look at the following examples. Describe how and where the work will be carried out. Use the SOV and timeline for weekly or monthly updates. Now look at this example of the task list. And the task list is about circuit partitioning for power and control. And you can see how different tasks are numbered accordingly. Evaluating a present company, establishing benchmark, investigating separate starters, and then develop alternate electrical things. And then in front of that, this list of tasks, you can give your tentative timeline. You can see how they are numbered. You can look at the numbering format on the left side. There are layers of number. There are layers used. First layer, second layer, third layer, heading, subheading, and then subheading. All right. Now you need to assess which typology would be the best for this marketplace, and if you are following your these are the different tasks that you would like to go on. And again, you have a timeline like this. Look at the screen. You show your weeks. You number them. You can make a table, and you can mention your tasks accordingly into numbers, whether they are major tasks or they are subtasks. And then you can talk about the different weeks and you'll be working, because at times it happens that things are not done in a sequence, and in order to complete certain tasks you have to move back and forth. So for that back and forth movement can be clearly followed by this type of model. Look at the colored identification that you are providing. Red is planned and blue is actual. So there are things that can be stated which you are going to do actually, which are already there, you have already finalized. However, there are few things which are based on some other actions, and they are not dependent. They are not independent actions. They are dependent. For that, you look forward to something else. So they can be planned, but for that you cannot write actual. So you can use different colors to differentiate between that. All right. Now deliverables. What are these deliverables? Deliverables are basically they describe expected outcome of the proposed work, or what products will be delivered. In the end, whatever is going to be the outcome and what you will be able to offer to your the one you are submitting your proposal to, whether it's a company or your customer or a client or an individual or a government agency or anything. This is often one of the most important sections of your proposal, because if I am the one who is reading it, and if I am the one who is going to take decision, I need to know what am I going to buy, what is going to be the final product. And if this final product matches my demands and suits my need, only then I will be able to spend my money or my energies or my time into it. So think big picture and value of your deliverable, because it is going to be the product basically you are working for and you are planning for. Now, related work, all the related work you need to describe significant activities by group members directly related to the proposed effort and how these activities interface with the proposed project. Then describe the state of the art and compare the proposed effort. The reviewer must be persuaded of the proposer's awareness of the state of the art in the specific topic. Now, what is this commercialization strategy? Since we are dealing with business, field of business and business management, you need to know the commercialization strategy can be one option that you can work on in your proposals. This strategy describes your strategy, your technique for potential, what potential your proposal keeps. For potential commercialization of the deliverable, what you are going to deliver, what is its commercial significance. Alright, you need to provide, when you are working for this commercialization strategy, you need to provide information on the market need, the product will address, and the size of the market. What is the first application of your product, and who will be your customer? Well, what is your estimate of the market size, market sales, and per year or per month, and how much money will you need to bring the product to the market? So all these details should be part of your budget strategy. Who are you having a competition with? Who are your competitors? And what is your advantage over your competitors? Why we should choose you? Why should you be chosen? And who are the key personnel involved? Who are the people? Identify the members who will be involved and include information on directly related education and experience. A concise resume of the primary contributor should be there, and it's good if you are able to provide information about your team members if it's a team. Now, another section talks about the facilities and equipment. Describe available instrumentation and physical facilities necessary to carry out the effort, and then items of equipment to be purchased as detailed in the cost proposal shall be justified. State whether or not the facilities need modifications to meet environmental laws and regulations of federal, state, and local governments for, but not limited to, the following groupings: airborne emissions and waterborne and effluents, external relational levels, outdoor noise, solid and bulk. So all these things that you are going to use should be part of your part of clear stated in your resume. Or if you need anything from the company who you are writing this proposal to, you want them to provide you something, or you want them to provide you money for that, everything should be clearly stated. Don't keep anything in between lines. Now, subcontractors and consultants, involvement of subcontractors or consultants may be appropriate, because if you are, if your budget, and there are changes expected, and these changes are based on the changes in the vendors you are dealing with, or changes are based on the subcontractors you are dealing with, or contractors you are dealing with, then whatsoever is there, make it a part of your proposal. If there is any expectation of any change, your reader should know that at this point a change is possible, and these are the variables which control this change. If such involvement is intended, it should be described in detail and identified in the cost proposal, because later on if you write one statement and your proposal is accepted in that statement, legally you cannot bring any change. A minimum of 2/3 of the effort as measured by direct and indirect costs. So cost must be carried out by the proposing group unless otherwise approved. Now you see example and the budget form. Sufficient information should be provided to understand how the proposer plans to use the requested funds, and list all the key personnel, key members by name and number of the hours dedicated to the project as their direct labor or their direct effort. So this all is a part of your cost section, budget section of your proposal. Now justify spatial tooling if you need any, testing of equipment and materials and whatsoever is you're demanding for your writing or including. You need to provide logics and reason. Why do you need them, and why if you do not have them, how will you, do you have any backup plan? Cost for travel funds must be justified and related to the needs of the project. You cannot really provide fake information, because if you're not dealing with your statements rationally and logically, they will not create any impact, and you may have a chance of losing your opportunity. So cost sharing is permitted. Well, you look at the budget form on the screen. It's an example budget form that you can attach with your proposal. Although inside proposal you can provide the details, verbal details and some graphics of that. However, you can always attach a form if you have a standard format. All right. Now, with this we are done with our discussion based on the anatomy and the format and the contents of a research proposal, business research proposal. Now, this talk brings us to the point where we can talk about how can we write an effective proposal, how to really compose an effective proposal. So, why is it important that your proposal has to be an effective one? Well, if you plan to be a consultant or run your own business, written proposals may be one of your most important tools for bringing in business. And if you work for a government agency, non-profit organization, NGOs, or a large corporation, the proposal can be a valuable tool for initiating projects that benefit the organization or you, the employee proposer, and usually both. A proposal is a document that requests support, usually money, for work a proposer wants to do. What makes a proposal is that it asks the audience to approve, fund, or grant permission to do the proposed project. Now, talk about the types of proposals. If there is one proposal, it's called internal proposal. If you write a proposal to someone within your organization, it is an internal proposal. And with internal proposals, you may not have to contain certain sections such as qualifications, or you may not have to include as much information in them. However, the external proposals are proposals written from one separate, independent organization or individual to another such entity. And the third type is a solicited proposal, as we have just mentioned. If a proposal is solicited, the recipient of the proposal in some way requested the proposal. So typically a company will send out requests for proposals and public announcements and requesting proposals for a specific project through the email or publish them in some news source. An unsolicited proposal are those in which the recipient has not requested proposals. With unsolicited proposals, you sometimes must convince the recipient that a problem or need exists before you can begin the main part of the proposal. Now, there are a few things to remember when writing a proposal. The proposer has a particular interest and goals, and that's why he or she writes the proposal. The recipients of the proposal, be it an organization, a person, or a group, has its own interest and goals which may or may not coincide with those of the proposer. So the proposal should be convincing to the potential funder, and it should show that the proposed activity will be a good investment. Well, this is especially important when there is a competition between you and other proposers. Always make sure that your proposal meets the expectations of the funder. So how will you make sure that your proposal meets the expectations of a given funder? In order to write a proposal that meets the expectations of a given funder, you should try to know the funder's goal and interest. If you are writing an unsolicited proposal to a private company, a good source of information might be the company's published reviews and annual reports. Now, requests for proposals are usually the best source of information when you are writing a solicited proposal. If your proposed activity and the request for proposal don't match, try to look for another funding agency. The common sections in a proposal involve the general outline of the proposal should be adapted and modified according to the needs of the readers and the demand of the topic proposed. For example, long complicated proposals might contain all the following sections. In contrast, shorter or simpler proposals might contain only some of the sections or the main ones. Alright, now the sections of proposals, as I've discussed before, and I'm going to give you a detailed overview of the same again. That title page will involve the specific formats for title pages. It varies from one proposal to another though, but most include the following: the title of the proposal, as short as informative as possible, a reference number for the proposal, the name of the potential funder, the recipient of the proposal, the proposal's date of submission, the signature of the project director and responsible administrators in the proposed institution or company. Well, the abstract is a very important part of the proposal because it provides a short overview and summary of the entire proposal. The abstract of the proposal is short, often 200 words or less. In a short proposal addressed to someone within the writer's institution, the abstract may be located on the title page. However, in a longer proposal, the abstract will usually occupy a page by itself following the title page. The abstract should briefly define the problem and its importance, the objectives of the project, the method of evaluation, and the potential impact of the project. All the catchers, attraction, all the types of attraction that can catch your reader. Now, table of contents. The table of contents lists the sections and subsections of the proposal and their page numbers. Introduction, where you plan the introduction to your proposal carefully. Make sure it does all of the following things, but not necessarily in this order that apply to your particular proposal. You indicate that the document to follow is a proposal. You refer to some previous contact with the recipient of the proposal or to your source of information about the project, and you find one brief motivating statement that will encourage the recipient to read on and to consider doing the project, give an overview of the contents of the proposal, so on and so forth. So in today's talk we discussed, we are still discussing the detailed items inside one item of the contents. However, we will stop and pause this discussion here for today because we have to move on to our listing activity for today's, that is about how to place your idea, how to initiate talking about your idea, and I will resume the same discussion in the next lecture from here, and we will discuss the different details inside each heading of the proposal. Alright, so let's move on to our today's activity, listing activity, and see what it has to offer us for our learning. Okay, here you go and listen to your audio of the day. When you listen to the activity, following are the questions that you are going to answer. However, keep in mind that today's audio is going to be about negotiation. How do you pitch your idea? How do you forward your idea? And that is what we are discussing in our proposal today. However, before writing a proposal, you need to talk about what your idea is. So, it is very important for strategic partnership in business. The questions you are going to listen to are given on the screen, and they are articulated in the audio as well. So go ahead and listen to the audio.
Now, let's practice some more ways of outlining an idea after coming to a tentative agreement.
Here's how it looks. We'll build out the database while you guys take care of design.
Okay, so you guys lend your brand power to this, and we put the work into developing the line.
So we would go 70-30 on the capital investment and bring your guys in during the construction phase.
Right. We'll handle organizing the event, and you can take care of developing the theme.
Listen as Jamie responds on a strong note.
Well, I've got to say MVP is hard to beat in this part of the world, and growth around here is just nuts.
Yeah, definitely. You're right about that. Listen, how about this? I'll take it back to Michigan and lay out the general idea. And if you could send me some sales figures and corporate history in the meantime, I'll touch base once I'm back in the States.
Jamie wants to reinforce his company's position in the region, telling Mike that MVP is hard to beat or hard to compete against. And he mentions the growth too, which he says is nuts. Nuts often means crazy, and in this case, he means that growth is very impressive. So, they've discussed a potential partnership and sketched out how it might work. Mike's next move is to outline the next steps. He's going to lay out or present the idea at his company in Michigan, and he wants Jamie to send some information about MVP. Then Mike will touch base or get in contact when he gets back home. You can't end a discussion like this without deciding what to do next. So let's go through some more ways to outline next steps.
So let's sit down tomorrow and hash out some targets.
How about this? I'll talk to my partner, and you talk to your people. Then we'll schedule a meeting for next week.
Drop me an email outlining the idea. I'll present it to the board and get back to you by next Monday.
First, let's each do a bit of market research. Then I'll give you a call on Friday and we can compare notes.
Now, let's hear how Jamie finishes things off by agreeing to Mike's plan.
Sure thing. I'll start pulling some stuff together tomorrow and send it over before the end of the week. And just let me know if there's anything specific you think might help.
As we've seen, Mike has done a good job of pitching the idea, discussing it with Jamie, and figuring out what to do next. In the next lesson, we'll rejoin Mike as he discusses his company's approach to the coming negotiations with MVP. Now, let's practice some of the language we've learned in today's lesson. Imagine you are talking with someone and you have an idea for a strategic partnership between your companies. You will need to bring up the idea and discuss it with the person before outlining your next steps. I'll give you a cue telling you what you need to do. Then you'll hear a prompt. Use the words in the prompt to make an effective statement during the meeting. We'll guide you through each step in the practice and play an example answer for each response. Ready? Let's give it a go. First, broach the topic of a strategic partnership with your former colleague.
So, have, idea, talk about. Answer. So, I have an idea that I'd like to talk to you about.
Next, pitch the basic idea for a partnership.
Thinking. Our companies. Work. Together. Marketing. Answer. I was thinking our companies could work together on a marketing campaign.
Now, speculate about the feasibility of this potential partnership.
Could. Work. if missions match. Answer: well, it could work if our company's missions match.
Next, outline the idea for the partnership.
You could, media contacts, we, online marketing. Answer: so you guys could use your media contacts, and we could do online marketing.
Finally, outline the next steps in developing this partnership.
Map out. Idea. Email. Next week. Answer: let me map out the idea and email you next week.
Now, let's practice some of the vocabulary and collocations we've covered in this lesson. In a moment, you'll hear a series of sentences with a word replaced with a beep. Repeat each sentence, including the missing word. For example, if you hear,
We buy all our parts from authorized.
you can say,
We buy all our parts from authorized distributors.
after each response, we'll play the correct answer. Let's begin.
The client hated our first design, so we had to start from.
All right, welcome back from the audio. Let us have a discussion regarding answers. And I hope by now that you have marked your answers with you. Now, let us match if we could have our understanding right. In the beginning, what does Mike say his company is looking for? Well, he's wondering who is established in the region and how do they know who has this establishment that can support their company. Which idea is Mike tentative or hesitant about? Well, how it might all work. And they are thinking about partnership, will this work or not? And the third question was, what is Mike going to do next? Well, they're willing to start with a selective part and a local market networking with small investment, and he's wondering if he can go back and lay out a general idea, and the other guy can provide him with more research information to extend their idea. That was all about today's listening activity. Okay, that was all about today's lecture that we discussed about proposal writing. This was, let me say it again, that this was one more lecture in the series of report writing. We discussed about the proposal aspect of report writing, this technical document, and in the today's discussion we brought in the requirements, the contents, format, expectations, anatomy, strategies, and we also talked about types of proposals. But we are going to talk more about these things in the coming lecture because we couldn't finish our detailed discussion about each and every element inside the under different headings and sections. So today's lecture was about proposals, and the coming lecture is again going to be about proposals. This was all for today's talk. I'll see you in lecture 22, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.